today we have a special guest in the studio, an author, but his profession is Doctor of Chiropractic, Dr. Patrick Gallagher. Patrick, always good to see you. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well.
You have written a book, but first of all, before we get to the book, I want to find out about what you do.
Okay.
You snap bones into place, don't you?
No, that's a crude way of looking at it.
I know it is. Well, I'm a crude guy. But wait a minute. Tell me about Dr. Patrick Gallagher.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
What I do here in Goldsboro is we're one of 600 worldwide board-certified Atlas orthogonalists.
Whoa, an Atlas.
Orthogonalist. It's Greek. Greek is.
It is Greek. It's Greek to me.
Most people are stuck that way, but orthogonal is a preparation of 90 degrees. And if you're not orthogonal, you're off from 90 degrees. And Atlas is the top bone of the neck that we specialize on. Dr. Roy Sweat invented the technique back in the 70s about how to specifically correct that one vertebrae. And
well, what could be the problem? What could this alignment cause?
Common one is a lot of migraine headaches, vertigo, stiff neck, pains down the arm, all sorts of malaise, you're not functioning right. Because you're getting irritation at the brainstem. Because that very top bone, the lightest in the spine, about 2 to 3 ounces, supports this bowling ball of a skull.
Supports your head. So if that's out of alignment, then your head
is on crooked.
And your head's not on straight.
That's the title.
The title of the book.
Is your head on straight? Because when that deviates, it puts irritation at the brainstem level. And I wrote it in detail in the book that when a person is hung, what actually happens is the big knot behind the skull is where they have like about 8 or 10 loops of the rope, and then the one strand to the front that you cause a flexion and extension simultaneously. That the skull goes forward, the neck goes backward, and you break the neck right at the brainstem level. Pretty crude, but
it is crude, but it's quick.
It is quick. It's pretty. If you're weighted down well.
So all those horse thieves back in the 1800s,
right? Like the Mideast, well, I mean, over in Europe, they would chop their heads off.
Yeah. Well, that was quick too.
Yeah. Well, a little messy though.
Yeah, that was kind of messy.
We got a little cleaner in the good old USA. So.
Okay. So the Atlas, as I recall, is only a few ounces in weight, and that's what holds the head up straight.
Correct. Right.
So if the head's not on straight, I'm just trying to get this right
rationally.
in my feeble mind. If your head's not on straight, that causes all kinds of problems. Perhaps headaches, perhaps.
Sure. And what actually happens as it deviates, because here's the skull, and there's that light 2 to 3
this one right
bone.
here.
Yes, sir.
The first one right there.
C1.
C1.
Cervical 1.
Oh, gotcha.
And there's 7 cervical bones.
I knew that.
Well educated.
Thank you.
So when it deviates, the head goes crooked, and the eye sense that. Where God made us very meticulously orchestrated that when the eye sense that deviation, that information goes right to the brain. And the brain controls the body, and the body says, that's not good, because you're going to walk into a doorpost, walking crooked.
Right.
So the body deviates, called a righting reflex. The body's going to attempt to take out that distortion of the skull being off-center.
Tries to compensate.
Exactly. And the leg will draw up shorter. And the pelvis distorts and the shoulders distort as the body adapts to that crookedness.
So if you're off just a tiny bit, it's major problems.
Right. It's millimeters. We measure it in millimeters of lateral deviation, and then when it goes to the side, by the roundness of the condyles, it has to rotate. It either rotates forward or backward. So when that twisting happens, this white line you see here is actually the vertebral artery. And when that rotation happens in there, as I mentioned in Neural Anatomy 101 in my book, there's an artery that goes through there. And it supplies 80% of the blood supply to the midbrain. And vertigo, or spinning and all like that, is greatly impacted when that rotation happens. I have an interesting story I wrote in the book about a patient who was a patient of mine for a while, and she had a boy, and she was under my care throughout this time period. Not that often, because she was from up in the way up north of Bath, So it's a long drive for her to come.
Yeah.
But anyhow, she came in and it seemed like her atlas had misaligned from one side to the other. And that's usually done by a trauma, car accident, bad blow to the head. And she said, no traumas to me. But what she would do is she'd cuddle her child, and the boy would always grab her earlobe and pull it. And she gave into that because I was a cute little boy, he'd do it for a few minutes. But numerous times a day for a good 18 months. Well, not quite 18 months, but a long time period. And so her head was so tilted all the time as he pulled on that, that very light bone shifted from side to side. Yeah. And she had vertigo so bad she couldn't even lie down on my table.
Really?
But we tapped that bone correctly. We don't twist and pop. We just a very light percussive force and straightened it out.
Okay, you tap the bone.
Uh-huh.
How do you do that? Run it by me again.
We have a table with a machine mounted on it.
Yeah.
With a stylus that's like a metal probe comes down, goes right over there.
Yeah.
And we step a pedal and it fires it off, and a compressive force wave goes into there. It's just by vibration essentially.
Really?
So it's so very delicate that patients don't even feel it.
They don't feel it.
They don't feel it because you can touch it. I don't know. Before I adjust them, I say, put your finger on the tip of that, and I fire it off so they feel it. So it does look pretty apprehensive, but there's no excursion. There's no thrusting of it. It's just simple vibrations.
How about that?
It's pretty amazing. That's why there's not many doctors that do it. There's 8 other clinics in the state of North Carolina that do this work, and we all know each other. So there's.
So that's amazing. That is just amazing. So how is she doing?
She's doing very well. Very good.
Is that a one-time thing, or does she?
Well, for her.
Or does it depend on the severity of the?
Severity of the case, how long it's been out,
Yeah.
other factors. Do they sleep on their stomach? Ergonomic issues. How are they positioned? Do they sleep on 2 pillows, something like that? That's not very good for the neck, because you're going to cause hyperextension when you're sleeping at rest, and that's not good.
So your head up like that's not good.
Right, like a whiplash while you're sleeping.
Oh man.
That's not good.
Okay.
So, yeah, a lot of cases in there. I had one from just over here in Pine Hill that she had to step backward and go one step at a time down a flight of steps because her balance was so far off. If she stood upright and went down this flight of steps, she would have tumbled down. And once we adjusted her atlas, she was halfway down the flight of stairs before she realized she was doing normally. And
this is fascinating.
Yeah. So
that little bone has a lot of power, doesn't it? I mean,
yes,
it really does a lot of work.
Across the board, all chiropractors are pretty much agree. If there's one vertebra you want to get in alignment, it's the atlas. And all professions.
That's C1, isn't it?
C1, number 1. You got it.
Got it, man.
You got it.
Okay. What are some of the other issues that someone might have with their spine alignment? And that is your specialty,
Right,
the
yes,
spine.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cause, but are there other issues with your spine that could cause your spine to be out of alignment?
Sure. Just other issues like a simple fall, landing on the buttocks, stepping off a curb, not being aware of it, that kind of jolt into the frame.
Because that will do it.
That will do it.
Really?
My introduction to chiropractic came back in 1980, where I was in a motorcycle accident where I had landed on the left side of my skull without a helmet on. Not a good combination. So.
And helmets were not required by law at that time.
I was in a field. I was out on a motorcycle back on the trails up in New York.
Okay.
And I broke my jaw. I cracked some ribs, so it was really traumatic. But
you were in a coma.
Yeah, 11 days. 11
Wow.
days. So, but that turned me on to chiropractic because I started seeking a chiropractor in New York, but I didn't have my head on straight even yet. I had some benefit and I felt better, but it wasn't totally done yet. But then when I started school in, started in 1983, and went to Life University, it was Life Chiropractic College back then, and I got my atlas specifically adjusted, and the lights came on.
Whoa. So that encouraged you to, inspired you to get into this field.
Did, yeah. And once in the field, I learned out, boy, there's something about this atlas work. And the importance of that, and me personally, that I felt the impact. And I said, well, I got to know this stuff very well. So I later joined a club there on campus, Upper Cervical Club, and I became involved with that. I did some research, and I just sought out how to better treat that one specific segment. And that got me into Dr. Roy Sweat's work, who's 90 this year, and he's still working five days a week. I call him out once every month or so with a difficult case, and when you've been doing it for 60 years, you really know your stuff pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and I'm working on an audio version of the book with his daughter-in-law, Tekla Sweat, asking him some questions. So that's about done.
Now you have a practice here in Goldsboro.
Correct.
But from where do your clients or patients come?
Well,
you mentioned Bath a moment ago. That's a pretty good haul.
It is. Wilmington, New Bern, a pretty good draw. But I had one patient that read the book in Buffalo, New York, just south of there, and they make the drive down.
Really?
I'm going to see her a week from today for her second visit.
Well, that's quite a haul.
It is.
What about long distance driving? Isn't that an issue?
It can be. They need to have someone drive it for them.
Yeah.
Because she just rests on the trek back up.
Yeah.
And all. And but we do treat. I'm trying to reach out to the Marines, the local camps around here. I have one of my patients that works at the base there, and she's giving me some contacts of different organizations that I could possibly help.
Yeah.
And they have those those explosive devices out there. They get their heads rattled a lot.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So
well, we do here at Seymour Johnson as well.
That's
there's a
true.
lot of explosives, a lot of ordnance there.
Right, and I treat some of the fighter pilots, and then they're pulling 78Gs, looking back over this way, seeing who's behind them, and that's pretty challenging.
So, there has to be so many things in someone's life that you take for granted every day, that you do every day, that can be detrimental.
That there is.
Big time detrimental.
Right.
You mentioned stepping off a curb. I've done that.
Yeah.
And you just kind of misstep and you hit kind of hard.
Getting into your car quickly and just bumping your head on that, because there's a couple of things about this. One, light bone, 2 to 3 ounces, is that you've heard of ruptured disc, bulging disc.
Oh yeah.
Well, it never happens there because there's no disc.
There's no disc.
There's no disc at the occipital, atlantal axil.
Well, that's easy for you to say.
C1, C2 in the skull.
Right.
There's no disc here. It's just very mobile.
So how is it protected if there's no disc?
By the muscles and just gravity coming down, holding the joint together for stability.
Okay,
That's why roller coaster rides and things like that kind of force, they can trip it up.
Really?
Because the G forces as the fighter pilots deal with, it's just it isn't coming this way, it's coming this way or that way or upside down.
And that would hold true as well for NASCAR drivers as well, I'm sure.
True.
That's why they've got that
support there and many things to hold things in alignment to give it extra strength.
Yeah.
They need if they're challenged.
Okay.
So
you wrote the book, Is Your Head On Straight?
Mm-hmm.
And people can see it behind us here. That's the cover, as you can see here. Is Your Head On Straight? And it's not a very thick book, but it looks like it's got a ton of information in here.
It is. It was autobiographic, and then it just kind of morphed into a tribute somewhat to Dr. Roy Sweat, because he invented the technique, and I shared a lot about that. And then I went into case studies. The bulk of that is probably case studies that I just shared of patients I dealt with that wrote me testimonials.
Where is your practice here in Goldsboro?
I'm 6 blocks from the courthouse here.
Really?
Down Ash Street.
Oh, you're on East Ash Street?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there a number? What's the
1304 East Ash Street on the right.
Well, you are close by, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. There we are. And just the cases in there.
I know where your place is, sure. You're near the library, aren't you? Just beyond the library.
Beyond the library.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We're just about 3 blocks past the library.
Yeah, the library is at 1001 and you're 13 something.
Right, 3 blocks.
On the right.
Right. Just past First Pres.
Gotcha.
That's
okay.
On Ash. And that's what warms my heart, is just my mission statement is that God would use me to restore people the way they're created to be. And people living on drugs because they're not happy with their bodies, they're not hearing what the body's saying. Because chapter 5, I said, what is your body saying? And then chapter 6 is, what's up with drugs? Because if you're taking drugs and answer to what your body's trying to tell you, whose side are you on? Because your body's built to complain.
Yeah, it is.
And if we're not answering the complaints correctly,
yeah.
if we're masking down, putting duct tape on the dashboard of the car of our life, we're not going to get very good mileage out of it.
I love that. Don't put duct tape on the dashboard of your car of life, right?
That's good, yeah.
That's good.
That. So, yeah.
Okay, now, your body's talking to you. Mine screams at me.
Yeah.
But if you're feeling bad, if there's a little ache or pain here or there, it could all stem from this, no pun intended.
Right.
Okay.
Could have its beginning there.
It could have its beginning there.
But even now, we have with the activator is the technique we use in the rest of the spine. It's similar to the Atlas orthogonal work, but it does give an excursion. It's a machine, handheld device that just gives a little impulse into the joint that's out of alignment. That's not quite right. It's dysfunctional.
And what you do, there's no pain involved. Now, I've been to a chiropractic years ago, but there's no you don't hurt people.
We don't twist and pop or yeah. So
you don't twist or pop?
No.
Oh well, I had that done one time, and it was interesting.
I've heard stories like that. Yes, I have.
But it helped me at the time.
Chiropractic does work. There's no doubt about it.
It does. It does.
There's a lot of different techniques, but they all work. I just gyrated through that through my personal experience.
Yeah.
And I'm dedicated to doing that. I've been doing this work. I got board certified back in '05 because I know it works, and that's what I'm passionate about, and making a difference in the lives of others.
And you went to Life University?
Yes, sir.
And where is that?
That's in Marietta, Georgia.
Oh, okay.
87. It's now the world's largest chiropractic university.
Right?
Yeah, pretty large, and I go down there about once a year for the homecoming. And I was actually selling my book. The first time ever, they set up a alumni authors table.
Oh.
And they had me out there. I was the first one to do it.
Wow.
And I just sold my book to classmates and prospective students and students, and just, it was a fun environment.
Well, I'm real curious. Where is the book available?
It's right now. It's on Amazon.
Okay.
I've got a number of copies at my clinic here in town.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So somebody could come by there.
Yeah, come by there and buy it, and
all right.
Making a difference.
Exactly. So 1300 block of East Ash Street. Is Your Head On Straight is the name of the book, and you start out autobiographical. You mentioned the motorcycle accident,
right,
and the coma and all that.
Right.
I'm sure it's a good read, and I will want to get a copy of it as well.
Okay.
So, Dr. Patrick Gallagher, what should we be doing to protect ourselves? What would be your advice, just in general, as we go through that dashboard of life, or whatever you said a little while ago,
okay.
car of life?
Well, one simple thing, I even have a picture of my wife and I in here on the chapter on traumatic brain injuries.
Yeah.
That you need to wear your helmets.
Traumatic brain injuries, that's a whole another book, isn't it?
And I had stories. That there is my wife, I, and those are our godchildren. And we all have our helmets on.
Well, good for you.
The number one cause of traumatic brain injuries from sports activities, if you include bicycling with that, is bicycle riding.
And not wearing a helmet.
And not wearing a helmet. Right. That's because you hit your head on the concrete. It doesn't take much, and you don't have a helmet on. I've heard of people say, well, my helmet broke. What good was that? I said, well, it's better your helmet than your skull.
Your skull, yeah.
Right. And that gentleman had, he's at Renew Life, and if you can see the difference in the shoe height there, that was quite a bit. And he was in a bicycle accident. He didn't have the helmet on, and he got struck by a car, and he was in a coma 2 months. But when he came out of the coma and came out of the hospital, they said, well, his leg lengths are different. And the doctor said, well, he had a one-sided growth spurt.
One-sided?
It wasn't reality, though. They had to say something. But he came
spurt.
into my clinic, and we adjusted him, and his legs came balanced. So his head was so distorted, his body adapted by 3/4 of an inch. It drew up a leg. So I was in a conundrum. Am I going to let him walk out of my clinic with that imbalance in his shoes? So I kept those. They're in my clinic now. So he walked out in stocking feet that day. So, because, you know,
Interesting. It's a science that it is a science.
It is.
That's,
It's innate intelligence. The body knows how to function.
yeah.
And if this is going on and you do this to level the head out, well, that's the body's attempt to deal with it.
You should listen to your body.
Yes, the body
Your
knows
body
best.
screams at you.
Body knows best.
All right. What's your phone number?
919-735-4300.
All right. Dr. Patrick Gallagher, the name of the book is Your Head On Straight? And I love the title. Patrick, always good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much, my friend.